for joining us, and welcome to Webinar Wednesday, which will begin in just a few moments. But before we begin, let me get a few administrative details out of the way so we don't have to clutter up the time during the actual webinar. First, this webinar is being recorded and it will be available in replay on both Facebook and on YouTube. We leave the replays available to you for 1 week after the webinar is broadcast, and then after that we take the webinars and we archive them for the purpose of our patrons. More on that in a few moments. Every week we host these free webinars. They are on topics around productivity, content creation, and a little bit in online marketing. They're available to you free of charge. However, we are a community-funded channel and we appreciate your support. And you can show your support in 3 ways. The first way is what you're doing right now, just being here, commenting, sharing it with others, being a part of our community. We appreciate that. But in a more practical sense, you can also support us through the Super Chat, which is available to those of you viewing on YouTube. You can always give us a tip if you find something incredibly valuable in what we share. But our main way that we support the Dottotech channel and Webinar Wednesday in particular is through the generosity of our Patreon community. If you drop by patreon.com/Dottotech, you can support us financially on a monthly basis here, keeping Webinar Wednesday on the air. But there are perks. Oh, indeed, there are some fantastic perks. The most important of which is we archive each and every one of these tutorial webinars, and the entire catalog is available to our patrons. Now, sit back and relax. We appreciate you being here, one and all, and today's webinar is going to be something special starting in just a few moments. Steve Dotto here. How the heck you doing this fine day? Welcome to Webinar Wednesday. How's everybody doing? We are some kind of excited that you folks are all here with us today. Oh my goodness. What a, I thought 2021 was going to be better than 2020. It's not working out that way, is it, April?
It is not. No, it is not. But I am hopeful that, that we will be on to a better new year by the end of January.
Well, let's determine you and I that we are going to make it thus, that it's going to be a good year regardless of what the world says to us.
We have a bunch of rock stars today, so very exciting.
Indeed. For some reason my thing here is paused. Good stuff. I'm just getting my feed reading through so I can see exactly what's happening. We are thrilled to be back with Webinar Wednesday. It's always weird coming back after a break because when you do a live stream week after week, day after month after month, you get into a routine. And when you haven't done it it's been about a month since we last did Webinar Wednesday, you suddenly start opening all of the things up and you go, oh my gosh, did I set this up right? Did I set that up right?
Right.
Plus, you guys will be seeing it. We're going to have a new video in about a week or so here on the Dottotech channel, which is I've created a new creator's desk. I've taken my entire desk and I have rebuilt everything about my, at least as far as video goes. Although you probably, you will see a little bit of it in the pre-recorded video that we're going to share in a few moments. But I've switched out my camera. I'm just using the old camera now. But so everything has changed, even though it looks pretty much the same, but things will be different. So I'm kind of anxious to make sure that all of the different parts are moving and working in the right direction, but more on that to come. Today's webinar, and actually this entire month, the entire month of January, we're going to talk about productivity. We're going to share concepts of productivity with you and talking about starting out with dealing with the issues of, which seem, I think, are going to be with us for at least the first half of the year, is the home office, the virtual office. We aren't going to be getting back to normal, whatever normal is going to be for some time. So I thought we'd talk a little bit today about making your home office a little bit of a safer place. I was doing a bunch of research over the break, and I was shocked at how many people do things like they are still working at their kitchen table. Raise your hand if that's you. But it can't be a good thing for you physically. So I did a bit of research. So we're going to talk about making that home office, at least affordably, a safer and more productive environment. And so we're going to be concentrating on that to start. But before we get into today's video, which is about 20 minutes or so of great tips, I need to do a quick shout out and thank you to all of our patrons, to our supporters here at Dottotech. We are a community funded channel, and Webinar Wednesday is brought to you through the generosity of our supporters at Patreon. If you drop by and visit patreon.com/Dottotech, you can become one of our supporters. You can join up, sign up, and help keep us on the air, delivering these free tutorial webinars on a weekly basis. There are perks, and the perks are, I think, amazing, because everybody who signs up at $10 a month gets access to all of our Webinar Wednesday replays. And if you take a look up in the corner over, depending what side it's on there, this is the 155th of these tutorial webinars that we've delivered. We will be delivering at least 40 or 45 more this year. So it is a good investment on your part, I like to think. But it's a brilliant investment on our part. We love your support, and we thank you all so much. So drop by and visit us at patreon.com/Dottotech. And to each and every one of you out there, and I know there's a lot of you online right now who are our supporters, from the bottom of our heart, thank you. Thank you. Thank you so very much. All right, let's talk about, let's get into, dive into. So today we're going to be talking a lot about the physical aspects of the home office and some of the challenges, some of the unique challenges that we face in making it a more productive and a safer place to work. And when I'm talking about safety, and you will appreciate this, April, I'm not just talking about your neck strain, elbow strain, shoulders pain, and back pain. I'm talking about our mental health working from home, which is a huge issue, especially for those of you who have started working from home and thought this would be a great place, it should be comfortable and easy, and then find you're less productive. Find that you're unreasonably angry for no particular reason at everyone and everything in your household. There's a lot of things that we can do that will help soften the stress and the strain on us, both physically and mentally, in the home office.
I'm pretty excited to hear about all these things.
Well, as usual, I'm anxious because
Hey.
I haven't delivered a new webinar in a month, so I haven't had anybody telling me that was great content. So I've recorded this and I looked at it and go, I hope this is good content. I hope this is what people are expecting. Well,
you always give good content, and
I worry every week.
Wow.
I worry every week, and it's been a little while, so I'm worrying more. Okay, just let me have that.
We're amongst friends here. We have all of our friends from Dottotech. So
we are indeed. We are indeed.
They're kind. You always have plan B. If plan A doesn't work, you always got plan B and C up your sleeve. So you're good.
Well, let's do this. Let us jump into our video. It is about how long? I'm not too sure. It's like 20 some odd minutes long. Going through all of the different aspects. Looking forward to your comments. As usual, April and I will be in the chat through the pre-recorded video. If you do have to jump out, if you have trouble with your internet connection, this replay will be available for a week until next week. So we leave it up for 1 week, and then after that, it'll be archived for the use of our patrons. But let's just now dive in and learn a little bit more about creating a better, safer workspace. Well, 2020 was a year we will never forget, and I think a lot of us hoped that as soon as we flipped that calendar page, that things would get a lot better. And I don't think things are going to change for us for the next 6 months, maybe 8 months. So we're kind of stuck in the same zone. So this is a great opportunity, though, with the changing of the year. This is a great opportunity for us to examine the home work environment, where so many of us have now started to do a lot, if not all of our work. Those of us that were always working from the home office, things haven't changed that much as far as our productivity and as far as our, just the physical space. But for the rest of you who had to suddenly make a shift and come home, there has been a profound shift. And I think a lot of you just came home, got working, and then have kind of worked with what you have in place and haven't really thought much about setting up a really safe and productive work environment at home. So there's 3 aspects that I want to talk about today that I think affect our working from home. The first is the physical environment, just the actual, how healthy the environment is for us to work in. We're talking ergonomics. We're talking not breaking our bodies as we're working. The second is the mental aspect. We're going to be a little bit lighter on the mental aspect, but it is a there are all sorts of additional unforeseen pressures that happen when we start working from home, from a mental health and just from a frustration point of view. Certainly from for people that are the sort that dive into work and really escape in work, there's no escape because their work is always there. And for others, it's sometimes even harder to get going because the distractions of the home stop us from getting it going. And then there's frustration that's related to that. Kind of the kissing cousin of all of that mental stress that comes from working at home is the productivity aspect. Are we able to get as much work done from the home office as we would like to? And what can we do? What things can we do from a practical point of view, as far as setting up a better physical workspace, or habits, coming up with some better habits and some better rules that we follow that increase our productivity and mental capability to deal with this new world that we are going to be dealing with for at least for the foreseeable future. So that is what we're going to explore today. And we're going to start with talking about that physical environment. And one thing that I really think is a big problem is how many people ended up just coming home, sitting down at the kitchen table and working from their kitchen table, and that has become the place that they work from. I know my wife, she's a teacher, and it was far easier for her. She has a small little desk upstairs, but she has the big kitchen table, and she would sit down and work in the kitchen table all day, every day while they were doing virtual school. And I think that was a horrendous environment for her to be working from. First of all, the chair that she was sitting in was a kitchen chair. Those chairs aren't designed for us to be sitting in all day. Plus, as a teacher, she's used to standing up and down and walking all over the place, but now she was sitting in the same place all day long. She felt it physically. There's no question about that. The angle of the computer and the fact that she was now on a computer all day long was hard on necks and backs and elbows. And there's just so many physical pieces to sitting in a poor ergonomic work environment that we should really break it down and take a look at all of those, take a look at all of the aspects. Now, in some cases, you have to work from the kitchen. There's just no other physical workspace that's going to work for you. And in that particular case, there's a couple of things that I think we should do. One thing is, do you have room for a better chair? Chairs are such a big part of the overall equation. And even if it's not a chair that you want to sit in all day, and you alternate between a different task chair and your kitchen chair, breaking up that, not just sitting in that one kind of ergonomically disastrous chair, which is our kitchen chair, I think is a really healthy idea. Now, this doesn't have to be expensive. You can even MacGyver your own system together. Do you have one of those big exercise balls? You can sit on a ball. I used to sit on a ball chair all the time. I quite like sitting on a ball chair. Now I have a chair called a core chair, which is very much like a ball chair because it allows me to pivot in it, and it's good for my core strength, and it keeps my hips loose. But that makes it easier for me to sit for longer periods of time in my chair. So paying attention to your chair, especially if you're stuck in the kitchen, upgrading that chair. And I've got a link here to a couple of different articles about purchasing different quality chairs, and we're seeing the manufacturing industry really jumping on board and making ergonomic office chairs a little bit more affordable for people to get in their home. I know it kind of sucks, the thought of having like an office chair in your kitchen environment. I know Shannon would hate that, but maybe the ball idea. You roll a ball in, you roll it out, you hide it somewhere, but it gives you a little bit more mobility, and it will hopefully improve things. The other big issue that we have is the sedentary lifestyle, is how much we're sitting, how much time we're spending sitting. And if you're working from your home office, you're sitting even more probably because you're not even walking to the car. You're not walking, we're standing less and walking less. So making sure that you are building into your system, you're building into your plans, you're building into everything you do, getting up, standing up, and walking around. And here we have one of the challenges, I think, from the home office. Standing up and breaking and getting moving does not necessarily mean that you should just go into the kitchen and get a snack. I think that is one of the big challenges that most people have when they start working from home is in the office. When you were in the office, if you got bored or if you got stuck on a project or if, you're a little bit overwhelmed with work and you needed to get up and clear your mind, you could go for a walk. You could even just go down to the cooler and get a cup of coffee or a water. But at home, it's so easy to reheat some leftovers from last night and have a snack or get some cookies or have something to eat. I think that our dining habits from working from home, that is suffered. I think we've all, they call it the freshman 20 that students that go to university have. I think we've all got the COVID 20. It's been hard. It's been easy to snack a little bit more than we should. So finding and building habits of getting up, standing up, and walking. I've got an article here from Medscape, which is staggering, which is how inactivity is now considered by some medical experts to be more deadly than obesity. That sitting is just such a net negative. Standing and walking, getting out is one answer. Another great answer is to find some sort of a sit-stand desk solution, a standing desk solution. And something, this could even work in that kitchen environment. I'll link to a couple of different types of standing desks, but they don't have to necessarily be a big physical, $600 investment with a mechanical up and down. There are $200 to $300 solutions, which again, you probably wouldn't want to have in your kitchen environment because they're a little bit big, but they do allow you to go up or down, and they're full surface desks. But there's also a lot of notebook desk solutions, notebook standing solutions, which are far smaller and far more narrow. Now, you probably don't feel like you would want to stand at your notebook for 3 or 4 hours a day working, and that does seem to be excessive. It's one thing, I love standing at my desk, but I've got my full desk service and I've got full productivity. Standing at a notebook would be a little bit more limiting, but you don't have to spend that much time to make a big difference. If you dedicate yourself to one task that you can comfortably do, maybe answering your email or maybe managing your calendar, where you stand for 30 minutes, 35 minutes, 40 minutes, and you do one of the tasks, and maybe you break it into a Pomodoro where you do a time task, but you stand for that entire task, you're doing, I think, a lot more good than you would probably realize just spending 40 or 50 minutes standing could possibly do for you. The medical research says that makes that big a difference for us to spend part of the day standing. So the more ways that you can fit that in, the better off you are. Maybe it's a Zoom call. Maybe when you have a Zoom call with your team, you stand for it because then it also kind of keeps you there, but it's not something that you have to be like working on your computer and multitasking. You could just concentrate on what's at hand. So that is one good solution as well. So the kitchen table, bad environment. Let's modify it if we have to use a kitchen table. Let's create better elevation so that we can stand. Let's create better seating when we are sitting, and let's make it as healthy as we can from that perspective. That's the start. One place that I think that we're actually a little bit farther ahead in the home environment than we are in the office environment is lighting. Offices don't often pay that close attention to lighting. They like to kind of flood the whole area with lights and fluorescent lights because they like to have a nice bright work area so everybody can see what they're doing. But it's not really all that great for your mental health to be in that sort of a evenly lit, fluorescent lit environment. So typically speaking, the way that we light our homes with pockets of light and more incandescent than fluorescent lighting is probably easier on your eyes and easier on your psyche. But regardless of that, if you do have any poor lighting situations where it's hard for you to see, invest in a good quality desk lamp, invest in something that's going to help make it reduce the amount of eye strain that you have. Which brings us to one of the biggest things that I think you can invest in to help, certainly as we're aging, is these. These are not my regular glasses. These are actually task glasses, which I purchased. They're computer glasses, and they're in a variety of different names. I've got some great articles that we will refer to, that we will share with you, talking about purchasing these and planning them out. So they do a slight little bit of magnification, but they're a fixed focal length. They're not like your progressive lenses where you kind of got to hunt and search to find to find the focus, especially as you're getting a little bit older and you're using bifocals or progressives. But instead, these are single focus and a single and just at a certain distance. So it's ideally set up for me to work on my computer screen. My computer screen right in front of me right now is perfectly in focus. If I look over at Farley, he's not quite as out of focus for me as he is for you, but he's not perfectly in focus that far away from me because these task glasses are to task to work on just this environment. But they have reduced the amount of eye strain that I experience and the amount of fatigue that I experience as a result of that dramatically. Now, you can buy some of these lenses with blue blocking technology, with other things that will that will help protect your eyes a little bit more from the glare of computer screens. I didn't tint these glasses because I use them for video. So I have very high index. They're very thin lenses. The thinner the better as far as this goes, because it does reduce the amount of glare on it. But you can even, as I say, go another step and you can even look at getting them tinted. The articles that I've included here will help you there. And regardless if you're working in the office or from home, upgrading your eyewear, upgrading your glasses will make a big difference in how fatigued you are at the end of the day. I can tell you right now, if I have to work with my regular glasses, I probably get an hour or less work done, because I'm starting to feel it in my eyes. I feel it in my eyes before we're done. So your eyewear can make a much bigger difference. Now, if you are lucky enough to have a home office environment that you can set up a dedicated office, then you can really up the quality of your working life by investing in some quality pieces of furniture. And I don't think that there's a better place to invest than in a good sit-stand desk, a good, really good, solid desk. Now, I know a lot of us have desks, that we've followed us around through our years, or we've bought one at IKEA and we're more interested in the price than the functionality because we didn't live at that desk. But when you're working in the desk as many hours as we are now, investing in a good quality desk is more than worthwhile. Now, I bought this desk here, and it's from Fully, and it's made out of bamboo. It's got this beautiful curved front, and I bought this when we moved into this into this location as my work desk. And now I've got a fairly small office environment. My desk has to be a lot of things to me because of all the creation that I do. It has to work for podcasting and video production and regular office work. So it's got to be a lot of things. So I ended up buying a fairly small one. I think it's 48 inches, or maybe it's smaller. I can't remember. I'll add it to the notes. But this is the model that I bought. And here's what I learned about sit-stand desks from this one purchase. Is I love this desk, and I have no hesitation recommending it unless you do what I do for a living, unless you're a creator. Do you notice from time to time when I put my hands on the desk and do something like this that we get a little bit of a bobble sometimes in the video, a little bit of wobble? This desk is very stable, but it does have a slight amount of wobble because of the kind of L-shaped leg that it's got. If I was to purchase a desk again, and I was going to be doing a lot of video work where the video camera is clamped to the table, and I'm looking for stability, if I'm touching my hands to the table, then I would go for a four-legged desk that has just more intrinsic stability as a result of one that's relying on 2 points to keep it stable. Now, having said that, if it's just a regular work environment, you also appreciate a little bit more stability. You will feel a slight amount of wobble, especially when the desk is up to standing height. But it's not enough that it bothers me as a desk, but just more stability makes it feel more solid. So I think if I was purchasing a sit-stand desk, as much as I love this one, I would go for a four-legged one. It doesn't look as nice, but it's more stable. And that's just my opinion, but I think that once you get one, you'd probably agree. Now, I have found another great resource recommending the top sit-stand desks. They aren't as expensive as they were when I first purchased mine. They were quite a pricey item, but there's so much competition out there now that for dedicated sit-stand desks, they're coming down towards the price of where the retrofitted ones, where they were the ones that we sit on top of the desk and then cantilever up and down, are getting. So I'm going to include this. It's from Wirecutter, the New York Times. They did a great. As I was doing my research, I found a couple of great articles, one on desks, another on chairs, which I will share with you as well, as they share the best ergonomic chairs for the home office environment. So paying attention to that desk, investing in the desk, that would be The chair and the desk would be the two places that I would spend money first. And if we're going to be locked down, if we're going to be stuck at home for another 6-8 months, if you've been kind of vacillating on improving the quality of the home office and you have the space and the budget, I think upgrading your desk is a great way to go. The next one is mental health, productivity related, all in one big glom. And that is, let's talk about sound. If you have a home environment and a home office where you get the home to yourself all day long, you are a very lucky person. But typically speaking, more than one person is now being kind of spending more time at home. So the noise in your house and the distraction within the house can become overwhelming at times. The best thing you can do for the working in a home office environment is have a separate office that you can close the door. And that is, you've got to set rules with your family to recognize that when that door is closed, it's like you're away at the office. They can't bother you. If they want to reach out to you, they could not even knock on the door. They should text you, or they should ping you by messenger if they want to ask you something, to respect your space. That will create a division that allows you to be far more productive, and from a mental health point of view, far less frustrated with your loved ones. But a lot of us don't have that door. A lot of us don't have a door that we can close that gives us that privacy. So what can we do? How can we recapture that? Well, fortunately, noise canceling headphones have come down in price, and there's a variety of different options that we have. And I want you to think about getting yourself a good set of headphones that help to isolate you. When I put on headsets, I often say this, that I feel cocooned by the noise cancellation, and the world becomes a little bit smaller around me, and it becomes far easier for me to focus and get into the flow. I look at it as a productivity tool, and it's an essential one for me. When I've got heavy duty lifting to do as far as work goes, I always put on a set of headphones, and I use task music as well. I use Focus at Will or something along that line in order to help me concentrate on music, and we've covered that quite often in the past. We'll include some links to it. Yes, Farley's interested in the headphone story. But something like Apple AirPods Pro, which have noise cancellation built in, will do that, as well as almost any other headset that you have or earbuds that you have. But I recently purchased, and I don't expect people to buy these because these are redonkulously expensive, but I recently bought Apple's new AirPod Pro Max things. These are the huge, incredibly expensive Apple headphones, which I love. I've got a video which you can check out, the review. There are other Bluetooth noise canceling headphones that are far less expensive, but I'm going to tell you why I like this option. Beyond the fact that they're really nice to listen to music, and they do help me with concentrating on my productivity, they do help me get into the zone and focus. But in a home environment where you don't have office doors, when you put in earbuds, people can't tell that you've got earbuds in if they're just looking at you. So they tend to talk to you, and it interrupts you. And they don't respect that you are probably working at that point. At least that's my experience. When you got these on, they know that you can't hear them. So they're kind of like having that door in place. They're like a virtual door that you can carry around on your ears. And so if your family looks at you and sees you, and you're working away on a project, and you seem to be in the zone, hopefully you can train them to respect you the same way, that you are working when the headphones are on, and they should not be disturbing you. They should treat it like a door. They should treat it like you are in the office and give you your space so that you can get as much work done and be as productive as you can. That's going to help your mental health, it's going to help your relationship with them, and it's going to help your productivity big time. To wrap things up, I'm going to talk about a little bit more about what I think is probably my theme that I'm going to be hitting on and harping a lot about this year. And that is getting up, standing up, moving, and not being sedentary, not sitting as much. It's something that I'm dedicating myself to really improving my own personal lifestyle with. And I think it's well worth all of us considering doing that. If there's one thing it's something that we can do, and it's actually pretty easy to do. And not only do I recognize it, but my technology companies seem to be recognizing it. Those of you who have purchased an Apple Watch, there's two things that the Apple Watch does, one of which is just incredibly irritating right out of the box. But there's two things that they've built into the Apple Watch which really speak to the importance of this. One is that Apple, with their activity rings, they give you a ring that is for exercise, another one for moving, and another one for standing. And it wants you to make sure that you spend a period of time each day standing. And it's pretty easy to spoof because all you have to do is stand up and sit down, and it thinks that you've stood that hour. And it looks for you to stand each hour. So it's easy to fool Apple with this particular one, but their heart is in the right place. The other one that they do is they've got this Breathe app, which anybody who's bought an Apple Watch knows. It is the most irritating app that Apple preloads into their watch, and it tells you multiple times during a day to just breathe, to take a step back and do a mental breathing exercise of some sort. And it drove me crazy. It's one of the first things that I disabled on my watch, and I've shown many, many people how to disable it. But again, their heart is in the right place. Building into your day defined times when you stand up from the desk, you get out, you go for a walk. I mean, it helps to have a Farley in your life that you have to go out and go for walks for. That could be a real lifesaver for a lot of us, but everybody doesn't have a Farley in their life that they have to go and take for a walk. So entrenching that. And I think more important than ever now is finding some time discipline with you if you're working from the home office, and we're going to be talking about this in an upcoming. We have a scheduled webinar Wednesday coming up where we're going to be talking about, and we're actually going to be diving deep into the Pomodoro technique, where you have little sprints of time multiple times during the day that you work, where your head is down for 25 minutes or whatever period of time you decide, but then you're forced to take a break, stand up, walk away from the desk, do something else. That getting into that routine becomes more important than ever as we move through this hopefully final stage of many of us working from home, or the dramatically changed work environment. So we'll leave things off. I'm going to be really looking forward to the comments, the things that resonate with you that you think are important to keep you mentally safe, physically safe, and productive in the home office. But I hope that the things that we suggested today fire your imagination in the right direction. And there we go. That was it. I loved all of the comments around the headphones about Les Nessman. You might not even know what we were talking about. They were talking about with Les Nessman. April, do you know?
No, I have no idea.
Okay, you're not quite old enough. WKRP in Cincinnati, television show.
Yeah, I mean,
and Les Nessman, he used to, and as somebody pointed out, he used to tape because he didn't have his own office, and he thought he should because he won as was pointed out, the Buckeye Newshawk of the Year award.
It's funny, I actually was laughing, singing Twee, I think that's how you say it. I put on my big blue earrings when I'm wearing them. My partner knows that he cannot interrupt me. Like that, a signal.
Giving clarity is really important in relationships. And so giving a visual cue that you're working is a really healthy thing to do. I think that's by the way, back to WKRP. I forced my entire family to watch the turkey episode again, the Thanksgiving turkey episode, which it might have been, I think, the funniest 3 minutes of television in the history of television. Before we get to the comments and questions, I need to point out that our show this week is brought to you through the generosity as well as our patrons of our sponsor. We're so excited that we have a real, legitimate, totally straight up sponsor here on Webinar Wednesday. And we waited forever to get a sponsor because we needed to have a sponsor that really fit in, that wasn't just a convenient sponsor, but really fit with the overall theme and the technology that we present here on a weekly basis. And so we ended entering a relationship with a sponsor of a product that we use each and every day here on Webinar Wednesday, and that is Restream. We use Restream as a live streaming platform to be able to reach our audience doing these live streams. And it is a terrific technology partner. If you're interested in learning how to do live streaming, whether it's to a single channel like Facebook Live or YouTube Live, or you need to broadcast to multiple channels, Restream is, I think, the leader in the space. And we've been using it now for how long? About 4 months, 5 months now. We've been doing these live streams, and they're just a terrific partner. So April will drop the link into the chat, but Restream, we thank you so much for your support and encourage you all to have a look. They are our big sponsor here on Webinar Wednesday. It's so exciting to have a sponsor. I love having sponsors.
Very cool.
We had lots of questions, lots of comments. People pointed out how important dogs are in this entire equation. I wonder how many people, when they do go back to the office, the dogs are used to having you at home now, and you're just going to have to just say to heck with it, and the dog's going to have to go to work.
I would agree. I think that concept will change where employers they'll let their fur babies come to work.
Yeah, because it's going to be harder. I mean, they're used to having you around now.
The challenge is, though, like if you have a dog like my Maximus, he's a pain in the butt.
Oh, Farley's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, Farley doesn't bark like Max.
Well, Max is a barker.
Max is a barker. So, like, he barks, I swear that, as animals, they sense the tone in your voice. So he'll bark at me when it's like the worst time ever.
There we go. Okay, so I know we've got to, let's get through the questions. Do you want to fire them off to me, or?
Sure. Okay. It's funny. I don't think we've had a significant amount of questions today, so much as great comments. So I will
by the way, the person who shared that men and women sit differently.
Yeah, I actually have that, Maria.
First I've heard of that. If you have any links or any research or anything that you can share with us, please drop it in the chat. I'd love to know more about men and women sitting differently, having different requirements for their rear end as far as sitting goes.
But it makes sense. It makes complete sense.
I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to talk about the size of the seat or anything like that.
You're terrible. Well, you birth the baby, and then you can comment on that.
Fair point.
All right. Our friend John Crowder is saying, why did you go back to your old camera? First of all, everybody, as you saw, was loving the video quality because you could tell that you were using your new little toy.
Yeah. So one of the things that we set up is I've set up a DSLR here. I'm still using right now for today's broadcast the Logitech Brio, but I wonder if I dare switch over just for a few moments to see if it's going to work. I'm a little bit afraid to, but there is. That's the new camera that's set up now, and it's a DSLR. It's a Panasonic Lumix G7, and it's running through an ATEM Mini Pro converter, which we're going to be able to use for a lot of different live streaming. It's going to allow me to bring into live streams other sources, quickly jumping, say, if I'm doing a live presentation on an iPad or a computer screen. Still kind of working my way through all of the different pieces involved, but the Logitech Brio worked great, and it works fine for these live streams, fantastically well, should I say. The one issue might be is I'm wondering if people are noticing a little more lag now because I'm still using my normal mic. So I'm still trying to figure out whether or not I'm going to use an on-camera mic that's synced in the HDMI signal. I know I'm getting in the weeds, but that's the new view anyways that we will be using. And I used it, the demo that we did here just a few moments ago that you watched was the first time that I've kind of played with it after I set it up over the holidays. So there was that. So yeah, thank you for noticing.
All right. This was a comment Julie mentioned. Chrome has some, when you were talking about the glasses, Chrome has some free tinting for your screen called Screen Shader to help eye strain.
That's a really interesting idea. And so it's actually changing the color of the screen to reduce the amount of stress. Now, there's often been, there's been a couple of different tools that have done that for our screens. What's the name of the one? Oh, I've lost the name of it. There's a video tool that will change the color temperature of your screen, and you can set it up on a timer so that in the evening it goes to nightshade mode, so it changes the colors. There's a lot of science, and I'm not going to be 100% accurate on what I say here, but on the effect of blue light immediately, like in the 4 hours before you go to sleep. And so if you reduce the amount of that blue exposure, if you do stay on your computer till late, getting that blue light off of your eyes helps you sleep. Now, I haven't tested that out myself, and I haven't read much about it because, frankly, I don't want to know the truth because I don't want to have to change my habits of working late in the evening before I go to sleep. But it's probably well worth taking a look at that science that's behind that as well. Yeah, Flux. Thank you so much to everybody, to Russell and to Jim and everybody else. Flux is the name of the app. Where would I be without you guys?
I know, they're awesome. All right, so our friend Lisa, are there any sit-stand desks that are L-shaped? I have a regular L-shaped desk now that I really like.
Yeah, corner shaped. Yeah, so I was talking about by the way, I was talking about the legs that are L-shaped, that kind of are a little bit less stable than the four posts of legs. I noticed that fully. The company who I bought my desk from, and I don't have an affiliate relationship with any of these companies, so don't worry about that. But they've announced a new L-shaped desk, recognizing that the L-shape takes up a lot of surface area, and you have to be careful when you get a sit-stand desk. You sometimes have things on the walls. You might have a shelf if you're right up against the wall, and you might have, put some books or something on your desk, and it might bang into that item on the wall as the desk goes up or down. So you have to pay very close attention to the environment around the desk. In the more surface area, the more potential you have for problems. But an L-shaped sit-stand desk would be awesome, because then you could work your way around. I think that would be amazing. I know Fully has one. By the way, some people asked about getting the notes. So we've started just late last year. We started. What I do is as I write each week's demo, I put it all into an Evernote note with all of the links and all of the resources, which I share on screen. You can see it at times on screen. That exact note we will send out to everybody who's registered for today's webinar. So if you haven't registered for the webinar, you need to, April will drop a link in so that we can get your email address, so you can opt in, so that we can email you that note along with the replay link. And then for all of our patrons, it will be housed in Thinkific along with all of the extra replay resources. So we will send out that exact note. So the same note that you saw on the screen, we actually send that entire note out to you. It's a pretty cool workflow that we've built here now at Webinar Wednesday.
Yes, I'm sorry. I'm doing the link. Let's see. Okay. So Column Keen is asking, have you had the issue with liquid buildup inside the ear cups, as other people have stated on that?
Yeah, I was talking about the Apple AirPod, the AirPod Maxes, with the very strange fetishy little case. No, I haven't. I don't wear them I wear them. Maximum that I've worn them is about 2.5 hours or 3 hours. And I didn't notice any condensation buildup. There's a lot of concern that because the aluminum, it's got an aluminum case on the outer shell, so it's cooler. And some people have had condensation buildup, which is causing a lot of concern. And we haven't heard back from Apple yet, because that's happening right within the ear cup itself. So I don't know where that stands. I'm certainly keeping my eye on that story as it goes ahead, though, because they are ridiculously expensive.
So this was an interesting comment from Brenda. I'm a pediatric sleep consultant, and blue light does impact your body's ability to produce melatonin, the sleeping hormone. It is best to be blue light free at least 60 minutes before sleep, but 2 hours is best. Interesting.
Thank you. I didn't want to hear that, Brenda.
Let's see. All right. I have, there's WhatsApp is having terms of service issues. So there's a new app called Signal. Do you know anything about it? And have you heard any kind of people are going towards Signal now instead of WhatsApp?
Yeah, this is all related to the massive changes that we're seeing in the social platforms with with the shutdown of Parler and the Donald Trump being removed from Twitter and banned from Facebook for a period of time, as people are looking for new conversation platforms and that they can trust, that they can get their messages out. And so WhatsApp was one option, but of course it's owned by Facebook, so a lot of the same parameters apply. So Signal is the place that a lot of people are considering going to. I haven't done too much research onto it, other than to just, watching the news story as it's gone along, as the rest of us have, which, so I don't have any value to add there. But it does bring me to next week, because of kind of the unique times that we're living through right now with what's going on politically in the States. Next Wednesday, Webinar Wednesday, is scheduled to be at the exact same time as Joe Biden's inauguration. And I don't think that we should be on the air at that point there. I think too many people are going to be interested in watching what's going on. There's just too many moving parts. So we are going to postpone next week's Webinar Wednesday to Thursday. We're just going to push it off for days. So next week, Webinar Wednesday will be on Thursday, same bat time, same bat channel, but on Thursday instead of Wednesday, so that if you want to participate and watch the events that are going to be happening in the States, so you can do that and you don't feel like you're missing out on, I imagine a lot of people would be totally torn between the two because there's an equivalency between the two, a new president being inaugurated in incredibly dramatic circumstances, and me talking about better productivity ideas. So a lot of people join us on Thursday.
So we have, because we're streaming to Facebook, Steve, a lot of, when we were talking about Signal, a lot of our Facebook friends can't see those comments there was a lot of great comments on the YouTube side. Is there any way you can share those on your side to the screen?
I can't. No. Unfortunately, with that, there's no unified chat option for any of these streaming services at this point. What we can do, and
you can't highlight the question on the bottom.
Oh, I could. Go
like
through
the answer. Yeah, they're for Signal, just so they can see them. Because if you do
that, I'd have to go back and find them though.
Okay. I'll try to copy and put them over in the chat on the other side. Okay.
We could also include them in the. We can include the comments with the newsletter, with the email that we send out. If there was some good, if people explained it well, we'll just go grab those comments. If you grab them, we'll add them to the newsletter, to the notes that we send out after we're done.
All right, I actually just posted them over there, so that's good. All right. So I'm just looking through. We actually don't have any more questions. There was one about, I saw one go by about Brave, the browser. Let's see. The chat sometimes moves too fast, so sorry, guys. Tom Willis is asking, is there any issues with using a different browser such as Brave?
No, not that. Well, for what? In what context?
That was just the question.
The Brave browser is a really nice browser, and it's you'll feel like you're in Chrome in a lot of ways. It's built on the same engine as Chrome, but it respects privacy a lot more than what Google does. This is going to be. We are going to be talking about this very, very soon. There's a lot of. I mean, the political news has overshadowed almost all of the news that's going on in the world right now. But within our little world, within the social media world, there is a titanic struggle going on as well, which is Apple released, I'll get back to the Brave comment in a minute because it will loop back. This will be relevant. But Apple's released iOS 14, which has built into it now the necessity for different apps to receive different level of permission in order to track your wanderings on the web. In the past, an app that you downloaded, like Facebook, on your phone could track you outside of Facebook as you were going to other places, which is how we would get relevant ads being delivered to us on Facebook. When you go in and you go shopping for a new sit-stand desk, all of a sudden you're getting ads in Facebook. How does that happen? That's by the pixel tracking you and tracking your searches and your wanderings across the web. That's always been the case, or for the last little while. And that's how we get relevant ads. The advertiser's perspective, it's a bonus. It's wonderful because we can track our traffic for people that are interested in our type of content. And from a personal perspective, while we might definitely find some concern with our privacy being invaded, it also means that we get ads that are relevant to what we're actually interested in, instead of the old ads that we used to get by email for penis enlargement, breast enhancement, and Russian brides that used to come into your inbox all of the time that was not relevant in your life at all, but they didn't know what you were interested in because they knew nothing about you. So that's the push-pull that's been happening. Apple has pushed hard. Apple has said to all of the app manufacturers that they can't track you in your wanderings on the web unless you expressly give permission. So users of iPhones and iPads are going to be getting notifications on their devices when they open apps saying, we would like permission to track you across the web. Which, what are you going to say? April, what are you going to say when Apple asks that? You're going
to say no.
Yeah, we're all going to say no. Even those of us that are in the advertising business are going to say, No, which is got.
But you're right. But as a marketer, so I have to actually. I was hesitating because I'm like, because I like to get ads to see what other people are doing because that's
Exactly.
how right. So.
And so there's this, but the best part of this is Facebook is apoplectic. Facebook is taking out full page ads in the New York Times saying Apple's a big meanie and they're trying to hurt small businesses. But there is no right answer for this. It's all shades of gray as far as we're concerned. But that is going on in almost at the same time as all of the bigger level political stuff is going on. So this story for us is being overshadowed completely. But it is totally relevant, and it's something that we're going to be spending a lot of time talking about this year. Brave, coming back to Brave, sits right in the middle of that because the Brave browser protects your privacy a lot more. But I think a lot of us ultimately aren't going to want our privacy protected as much as we want. So because we are going to want to have relevant ads as opposed to just garbage ads being sent, we want the quality that brings along of that research brings to the table. So that's going to be an interesting conversation as we move along. The Brave browser, though, you don't sacrifice anything as far as quality, as far as I'm concerned, in performance, and you do gain a modicum of privacy as a result of using it. And so it's an equal player. That was a long way to get to that answer, wasn't it?
Yeah, there was. I was like, I have like 3 more questions now.
But oh my God, it's such a fascinating time for us to be in this space because everything is going to change. This time next year, how we deal with privacy, how we deal with tracking people and doing Facebook ads and Google ads and retargeting ads, all of that's going to be changed.
All right. Mark Freeman's asking, what portion of Restream that you are using today would be paid for the general public? I guess I'm not sure what that means.
Multiple channels. You can for free go to a single channel. I think incorporating video, like the fact that I played video within it, I believe that is part of the paid service, and so you wouldn't be able to roll B-roll into it as I did. Those are the main things that I think would be included.
Did you say stream to multiple platforms?
Yeah, I did mention that. Yeah.
All right. John is asking, could you comment on Zoom versus Big Marker for our webinar platform? Wow, we haven't used Big Marker in a long time.
I love Big Marker though. Big Marker has a special spot in my heart for a lot of different reasons. I don't like Zoom for webinars. I like Zoom for training. I like Zoom for community build, kind of tutorials and training and meeting applications. I don't find it to be a great webinar platform. A lot of people have a lot of success with it. I don't love it for that. For straight up webinars, for the level of engagement, and especially one of the things I love about webinars, and it's the thing we've lost the most as we've gone to this model of webinar, is I love how engaged a chat room can be within a webinar when everybody's in the same room, and comments can be thumbs up or thumbs down and promoted and marked as questions. I love that engagement level, and Big Marker has that in spades. So I like Big Marker as a webinar platform. And if you said, Steve, you got a webinar to deliver tomorrow, that's going to be to an active and engaged audience, make it not a training, but a webinar. Choose one between Big Marker and Zoom. I would choose Big Marker.
All right.
If do a training, I would say Zoom.
All right. So that's kind of a follow-up. So Kathy over on Facebook, she was asking for any headphone recommendations she must use Zoom regularly. With a microphone. Oh. Besides your big expensive ones, do you have any?
I would do your own independent research for that. I mean, you can't go wrong using the Apple earbuds if you're in the Apple world. I actually like Apple's original earbuds more than I like the AirPods Pro, and I wouldn't recommend unless you've got a lot of money.
I still can't get my Pros to connect to my computer.
You can't?
No, it's a pain. But
it can be a little bit of frustrating Bluetooth wise. They have to play with that a little bit. But I don't know. Somebody might have a good recommendation. I don't know what good and bad headphones are. Here's one thing that I do know. I know that the earbuds being comfortable inside your ear is important. If you like having that feeling then inside your ear, you're good to go. The one thing I really like about these AirPod Max is the size of this area that allows for your entire ear. As I said in the video, even if you're a Vulcan, you can fit your whole ear inside of that throat, which makes them incredibly comfortable because They will press on your glasses if you wear glasses. And here's, I've got this set of Beats, which are ever so popular with the kids of the world. They're the Beats by Dr. Dre or whatever. But when I put these on, although the sound is excellent, they sit on top of my ear. I'll go this way, on top of my ear, and they get uncomfortable very, very quickly because they're pressing my ear flesh into my glasses, the plastic, and so my head gets sore. My ears get sore. I don't like wearing them for a long time. So the fit of them is in some ways as important as the sound.
All right. Let's see. I have another question here. So Philip is asking, Steve, any tips for reducing mic echo on live stream programs when using multiple cameras and external mics, such as a Yeti on a MacBook Pro? I did shut down the output on the MacBook, and that helped.
Yeah, shut down the output on the MacBook. Just make sure that all of your audio remains on a single source, so your audio doesn't switch sources. So you can set it up if you've got a Yeti as your audio source, but you have multiple cameras. You can leave the Yeti as the only audio input source, so then everything you set up will stay the same. That would be the biggest thing that you can do. You can also go through, like I go through a mixer, which has a noise gate, which cancels out the background sound, which kind of turns it off when it's not, which prevents the echo. And there's also software settings. Within Restream Studio, there's echo cancellation, so you sometimes don't have to wear headphones using that. And Zoom has the same, and a lot of other live streaming tools have the same. So check to make sure that within your software settings, if you have echo or noise cancellation built into that as well. Those are all things that will help.
Let's see. Sorry, there's okay. So Jeffrey's saying, Steve, I have a G7 camera I want to use also. What AC adapter did you use, and how much was it?
Okay, I'll put the link in. Could you add a note? I'll add the link to the adapter I bought. It's going to be in the YouTube video. It was about $30 Canadian for the AC adapter, and it's perfect. It's good solid. I've bought another one for my Canon M50, which is kind of feels junky. This one feels better. So it's about $30, $35. I can't tell you what the make was, but I will.
Our friend David is asking, does your new DSLR have image stabilization? Wonder if that would help the occasional desk shimmy.
It's one of the things the G7 doesn't have that the GH4 does is image stabilization, and it might help, but then you've got to be using, I think, the full autofocus, which I don't want to do. I just use it. I'm still learning about it, but I'm just using an area autofocus. I'm looking at it like you can see it. So it might help a little bit, but I wouldn't rely on that. I think a stable desk is a better idea.
All right. Let's see. I think, Dennis and Stewart is asking, do you like StreamYard for streaming interviews or talks?
StreamYard's a good application. It was just sold. And it's competition to Restream, which is our sponsor. So we haven't used StreamYard in quite some time. It was a good application when we used it, and I would like Restream for the same thing. It'd work the same way.
All right. Let's see. I have let's see. Those are just comments. Those are comments. I think that is a wrap. I was just checking Facebook. Nope, I think that was a wrap.
We made it through, all in one piece.
You did great. That was great. Very interesting. I am completely I'm totally a mess in my office. So as you know,
well, you're doing the same thing as I did. Is you're starting to rebuild your desk.
Yes, because my IKEA isn't cutting it.
Are you going to get a good stand?
I am actually, because over the past year, we talk about like getting up and moving, and I was spinning for a good part of COVID, and then summer came, and then when I came back to kind of the office, I have not been as diligent about my spinning, and I've done a lot of sitting, and I had bursitis in my hip. And I know it's from sitting so much, because even now, like today, even though I had a cortisone shot of 6 weeks ago, it's starting to hurt again.
Yep. That's I think that's going to be it's going to be an ongoing theme. Is just a little bit of movement every day. Getting up and going for that walk, folks.
Apple Watch reminds us, but
Thanks, everybody, so much. You guys encourage me. To our patrons, again, you guys are the wind beneath our wings. Thanks to Restream for sponsoring us today. April, you were awesome. Each one of you. I can't believe how often the quality, as I read back over the comments, I don't have time to pay attention to them while we're going, but I always go back and reread them, and how much value the community adds. Thank you all so much. You guys are just terrific. Next week, we'll take Wednesday off. We will watch history happen, and on Thursday we will reconvene, and we're going to be talking about some of the cool little kind of guerrilla productivity tips that I've been saving up for the last 5 or 6 months. We'll be talking about that, and we're going to wrap things up this productivity month of January with a App Wednesday, and we've got some very, very special guests on that. It's going to be a shootout with just productivity apps. We will get you through January, focusing on your productivity, and then we'll get on to other things come February.
Oh, we actually have a new exciting program starting next month too.
We do. Oh, yes, we do, which we will fill you guys in on very shortly. It'll be a Friday thing. All right. Till next time, folks.
Bye,
April,
guys.
thank you so much. Till next week. Have fun storming the castle.